Hello everyone, my name is Alicia Castro and I am a student at Grand Canyon University. Today I'm going to be working on my Cultural Competence Reflection video, and if you guys are wondering what this video is about, then I highly suggest you stay tuned and keep on watching. If you guys have any questions or comments, please feel free to leave them in the comment section down below, and I will try my best to respond to you as quick as possible and of course to the best of my abilities. So yeah, let's go ahead and get started. So the first part to this video, I'm going to talk to you guys about what it really means to be a culturally competent educator. So honestly, what this means is for us as educators to be knowledgeable on our culture, be knowledgeable on others' cultures, and also what, role they play in education. So I have broken down a couple of strategies that I plan on using when it's my time to work a classroom, and I think that these are really awesome. So the first one is that I can create a learning system based on student cultures. So by me allowing the students to kind of give me a little background story of where they're from, I will be able to take that information and create a system in where all my students feel welcomed, first of all, and secondly, I can create a learning environment in where everybody feels comfortable. The second one is to find good communication strategies in order to communicate with my students and their families. So one of the most important things that we need to keep in mind as educators is that not everybody knows English, one, and two, we need to have that connection with our student first in order for us to be able to communicate with their parents later on if we need to. I know that a lot of teachers like to send notes home. Other teachers like to communicate with parents through their phones. Right now we have an app called Remind, which sends out messages to basically all the students in your classroom roster, and so I think that's a really great way in order for us as educators to communicate with our families. And the third one is student diversity. By having student diversity, it will help me shape my curriculum, and in return I will receive better educational outcomes. So with all of that being said, communication and being open to everybody else's cultures, I will be able to form kind of like a really good bond with my students that will allow me to communicate better with them. That's number one. And two, I can get better educational outcomes out of that because my students will feel comfortable enough to come to me whenever there's a situation, whether it's academic or whether it's personal. So I feel like that is very important. For the past few weeks, we've been learning a lot about social justice and the importance of it. And honestly, I think that that is the best thing that we have learned so far. I never really saw social justice the way that it's viewed in the world of education, and I think that it's amazing. So honestly, what social justice means to me, as far as like I've learned, it's a commitment to challenging social, cultural, and economic inequalities. Nowadays, it's so easy to kind of pinpoint all these inequalities that are happening around us, especially right now with this whole COVID pandemic going on. A lot of things have kind of stirred up and have come out to us. So I feel like us as educators, we need to be, one, knowledgeable on what is going around in the world, and two, we need to figure out ways in how we can help our students be more successful, and three, obviously how to help our students whenever they need help. So this leads us to the second part of this video, which is where do I see myself in the cultural competency continuum chart and why. So honestly, what this is, it's a chart in where you kind of get to place yourself where you think you are personally. So the chart that I found has 6 levels, and I'm going to go ahead and tell them to you guys right now. The first one is cultural destructiveness. The second is cultural incapacity. The third one is cultural blindness. The fourth one is cultural pre-competence. The fifth one is cultural competence. And the sixth one is cultural proficiency. So I think personally I find myself in between level 5 and 6, and the reason why I say that is because there are so many things to be learned, and I am still a work in progress when it comes down to cultures. I love learning about new cultures, what their traditions are, what holidays they celebrate, just anything in general, and I think that that allows me to have a better communication with the people that are around me. So I am actually a substitute, and I have found it very interesting that the community that I live in has a lot of military families. So there's a huge diversity in these schools, and I think it's really awesome that we have some students coming in from other countries even, and it's very cool to see what, you know, what their traditions are, or how we can implement their cultural backgrounds into the world of education now. So I think that's pretty cool. And then another cool thing about it is that the way that I grew up, my parents were always very open to other cultures. They were basically always pinpointing things out, like really positive things. Honestly, they never really talked negatively about anybody or anything. So I think that that has given me the opportunity to kind of express myself a little bit better and be able to have better communication with other people. So with that being said, I think that's why that puts me in a level 5 and 6, because there is a lot to learn, but yet I have allowed myself to be open, and I have allowed myself to kind of get a little bit of background info of, you know, the multiple cultures that we have in our society now. And this leads me to the third point in this video, which is, the question goes, what will it take for you to get to the next step or to deepen your cultural competence? So for me, when I began this journey of education, I had my preference in working for a bilingual setting. Hence, I am Hispanic and I was born in El Salvador, so my Spanish is on point. That is my native language, of course. And I have learned English throughout the years, and I think that it's a very cool thing for us to be able to manipulate both languages and be able to work with bilingual students. And honestly, I saw myself working in a bilingual setting, but I also saw myself working in a special education setting. And the reason why I say that is because my little brother has Down syndrome, so I have kind of lived through the world of special education, and I find it fascinating the things that we can do with these students. And honestly, that was my original plan. But now that, you know, I am working towards my degree, now that I have given myself the opportunity to work as a substitute teacher, I kind of have a love for anything and everything. Honestly, I love grades 1 through 4. I like grades in the bilingual setting, and I also like grades in the special education setting and the special needs as well, because we have special education and we also have special needs. So I think that being open and allowing myself to learn a little bit more about my cultural competence, I think that that will allow me to communicate better, of course, and to be able to deliver my instructions in an effective manner that my students will be able to grasp as much information as they can. One of the best ways in order for me to kind of learn as I go, I find it that YouTube is my #1 helper. There are so many teachers right now that have gone to the world of YouTube, and they're using this area in where they're kind of sharing their personal experiences. They're kind of teaching us how to act, how to communicate, how to do math, how to do science. Especially now with this whole pandemic, I feel like it's a really great thing that teachers have come on to YouTube. It's a quick and easy thing to do. I mean, everybody in their phone has it, so it's easy access. Students are very knowledgeable when it comes to YouTube. One of the best tools that I will be able to use in order to further my knowledge. Of course, Reading Rockets is my favorite website to navigate in order to find better information. Reading Rockets is amazing. I highly recommend it. If you guys are looking for a good website in order to find good information, then that should be your go-to. I know that some schools do workshops, so I think that attending some of the workshops is a really great idea. And then you also have your colleagues there to help you. And then once we get into being an educator, I think that collaboration is one of the best resources for us to do. Some teachers might do something totally different than, you know, how you want to do it. And honestly, when you collaborate, it brings new ideas into play, and it helps. Honestly, I see it as a help to me. I love to do collaboration. I know that some people don't, but I like it, I enjoy it, and I really do take advantage of what other teachers have to bring to the table. And that brings me to the next part of this video, which is what will it look like to have culture inclusivity in your classroom? So The way I envision my classroom is obviously first having a welcoming atmosphere, so anybody is welcome. Secondly, I want to have vivid wall decor. I would love to have really nice sayings on the walls, encouraging quotes on the walls that will give my students that extra push that they might need. Keeping it always to a certain level because we don't want to, you know, have distractions going on. I definitely want to have that. I also want to be able to make myself available as much as I can to help students individually. So I do like the idea of breaking into groups and rotating. That way I get to meet with my students and kind of work one-on-one with them and kind of figure out where they need help and what they need to do in order to better themselves. And then obviously I want to have specific rules and regulations in my classroom and, you know, classroom policies and things like that that will allow my classroom to have a positive vibe. I want to make sure that my students are, you know, talking nicely to each other, that there's always positive comments. I want my students to feel comfortable enough to come to me whenever they need any type of help, or if they need help and, you know, they feel comfortable enough to go and ask a friend for help. And also, with all of that being said, I want to be able to raise self-esteem. I know that right now we're going through a tough time and a lot of our students are frustrated, you know, the ones that are at home doing online learning versus the ones that are going to school. Both settings are kind of stressful if you really think about it. For us as educators, it's become very, very stressful because one, we have to have a lesson plan for our students in the classroom, and two, we have to have a lesson plan for our students that are online learners. So it does become very stressful, but I feel like having a positive atmosphere in our classrooms will definitely allow us to cross over that stress and, you know, just make it all positive. And then last but not least, the last question is, how will you ensure you are respecting students as individuals with different backgrounds? So I like to think of this as a group project, and I think that group projects are amazing. Honestly, I enjoy doing them. So for me, I think that what I will do in order to help me with this is I will have my students write a short story or write a short paragraph kind of telling me what, you know, what their backgrounds are, what their beliefs are, and go from there. Kind of learn one-on-one on who my student is, what they like, what they don't like, what are their positives and what are their negatives. And I think that this is one of the best ways in order for me to be able to respect my students individually. Some students come with different ideas than me. Of course, I'm a Christian. Some students are not Christian. Some students, you know, come from an atheist background, or some students come from a different branch of Christianity, or they're strictly Catholic, and they will let you know. So I think that having boundaries and having limits on what I'm saying and what I'm projecting to my student will definitely keep that respect in our area, in our atmosphere. Another thing is that me as a Christian person, I show my Christianity through my character. So of course, showing love, showing compassion, showing that I care. I know that some teachers have wall decor with Bible verses around their area, and some students will come and they will read them and they'll be like, oh, you're a Christian, you go to church. And so, you know, these questions will pop out. I'm not saying I'm not gonna bring religion into my classroom because, like I said, it comes with me in my character. But honestly, I feel like respecting my students is the best way to go, and respecting and having boundaries will also be the best way to go when it comes down to these things. So I think that is it. Yep, that's all I have. But yeah, if you guys have any questions or comments, please go ahead and leave them in the comment section down below. If you like this video, give this video a thumbs up, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button. If you guys have any questions on other topics, and if you would like for me to make another video, go ahead and leave it in the comment section down below and I will get working on it. So thank you very much, and I will see you next time. Bye!